It's 7 o'clock news bulletin live from this news center of the Sultanate of Oman television. First, the headlines. Sultanate and the United Kingdom affirm on the commitment towards enhancing aspects of historical relations. 99% of the Sultanate's population is provided with water and waste management services. And China's new coronavirus cases drop, but the world is still on alert. Good evening and thank you for joining us. Those were the headlines and now the news in detail. General Sultan bin Mohammed al-Nu'mani, Minister of Royal Office, affirmed on the Sultanate's commitment towards enhancing aspects of historic relations binding it with the United Kingdom. That came when he received His Excellency Lieutenant General Sir John Lorimer, Senior British Defence Advisor for the Middle East, and his accompanying delegation. During the meeting, the guest affirmed on the strong cooperation and permanent coordination between the Sultanate and the United Kingdom, especially in the military fields, affirming that they will continue to enhance relations with the Sultanate. He as well wished that the Sultanate will have a prosperous future under the leadership of His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq. His Excellency Sayyid Badr bin Saud bin Harb al-Busaidi, Minister responsible for Defence Affairs, received His Excellency Lieutenant General Sir John Lorimer, Senior British Defence Advisor for the Middle East, and his accompanying delegation. The two sides reviewed aspects of military cooperation between the Sultanate and the United Kingdom. They as well exchanged cordial talks and discussed a number of issues of mutual concern. Exchanging viewpoints on a number of issues of mutual concern topped discussions of His Excellency Mohammed bin Nasser al-Rasbi, Secretary General and the Minister of Defense, with Vice Admiral James Malloy, Commander of U.S. Naval Forces Central Command, and his accompanying delegation. Rear Admiral Abdullah bin Khamis al-Raisi, Commander of Royal Navy of Oman, received Vice Admiral James Malloy, Commander of U.S. Naval Forces Central Command, and his accompanying delegation. During the meeting, both sides exchanged cordial talks and reviewed a number of issues of mutual concern. Rear Admiral Abdullah bin Khamis al-Raisi, Commander of Royal Navy of Oman, received Rear Admiral Dedlia Malter, Commander of the French Joint Forces in the Indian Ocean, and his accompanying delegation. The meeting discussed aspects of cooperation in the marine fields between the two friendly countries. The two sides also exchanged cordial talks and discussed issues of mutual concern. Muscat. 99% of the Sultan's population are enjoying the water and waste management services. This came in the new publication issued by the National Center for Statistics and Information towards achieving the goals of Sustainable Development 2030. In 2014, the number of beneficiaries of safe water in urban areas amounted to 97%, and more than 89% is the percentage of citizens who use water in rural areas and villages. These rates increased by 4% in 2016, recording that the users of secured water in cities reached 97.8% and in villages to 99%, embodying the tireless efforts to provide sustainable and clean water. The treated water wastewater percentage amounted 100%, indicating the efforts to preserve this important national wealth. You're watching the Sultanate of Oman television, and yet to come in our news bulletin, the video games nowadays considered as one of the challenges among the individuals and the community, as it has some negative effects on their health and behavior. Welcome back to the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. The United Nations Security Council was asked to vote on a resolution supporting a ceasefire in Libya in what would be the first binding text adopted since fighting flared in April last year. The United Kingdom, which has been drafting a text for 3 weeks, called for the vote to take place today. The resolution affirms that the need for a lasting ceasefire in Libya at the earliest opportunity without preconditions. It aims to end fighting between the United Nations recognized government of national accord in Tripoli and Eastern-based military commander Khalifa Haftar. The British draft invites the African Union, Arab League and European Union to help supervise the proposed ceasefire. It calls for the continuation of talks between the representatives of Libya's warring parties. Oil-rich Libya has been torn by fighting between rival factions since a 2011 NATO-backed uprising. Turkey's president accused Russia of committing massacres in its support of the Syrian government today, escalating a war of words, and Turkish reinforcement arrived on the ground. Recep Tayyip Erdogan threatened to strike Syrian forces everywhere if its soldiers came under renewed attack. But Russia hit back and accused the Turks of failing to neutralize terrorists in the northwestern province of Idlib. Turkey has beefed up its positions in recent days in Idlib, the last rebel bastion in Syria, with hundreds of vehicles carrying artillery and soldiers arriving in the town of Vinish since last Friday. Russian President Vladimir Putin and Erdogan spoke by phone early today, with the Kremlin saying they remain determined to implement existing ceasefire agreements. A Russian delegation, including military and intelligence officials, held 2 rounds of talks in Ankara this week, but no concrete agreement emerged. Foreign Minister Mevlut Cavusoglu said the Turkish delegation would now go to Moscow in the next few days. A U.S. Taliban peace deal could be signed this month if the Taliban significantly reduces violence, which could lead to an eventual withdrawal of U.S. troops from Afghanistan. The talks had been deadlocked in part over a U.S. demand that the insurgents agree to sharply reduce violence as part of any American troop withdrawal accord. Doha has been the venue for talks between the warring sides since 2018, even as fighting has continued across the country, killing hundreds of civilians and soldiers as the Taliban have expanded their territorial control. And Afghan officials said the United States has agreed in principle to a deal, but that it would not be signed until the Taliban could demonstrate a reduction in violence. There are about 13,000 U.S. forces as well as thousands of the NATO troops in Afghanistan. The United States is aiming to reduce troops numbers to about 9,000. Another 97 people die in China, raising the national toll to 1,113, with more than 44,600 people now infected in the epidemic of novel coronavirus. In Geneva, where the World Health Organization WHO is hosting a conference on the virus, its chief Tedros Adhanom said there is a window of opportunity to fight the virus. At the conference, the WHO also announced a new name for the epidemic, COVID-19, in keeping with guidelines aimed at avoiding linking diseases to an animal or a geographic location. CO stands for corona, VID for virus, and D for disease, while 19 is for the year, as the outbreak was first identified on December 31st. Meanwhile, an additional 39 people aboard the Diamond Princess cruise ship of Japan's coast test positive for the coronavirus, raising the total number of cases to 174. The biggest cluster outside China, some 3,600 passengers and crew now face a second week of quarantine aboard the liner. Back here in the Sultanate, the disorder caused by video games nowadays is considered one of the challenges among the individuals and the community, as it has some negative effects on the health and behavior. The World Health Organization sorted such type of disorders as one of the mental diseases. In the governorate of Al-Barami, the mental health clinic receives various cases of such disorders. Meanwhile, the eye clinic in the Al-Barami hospital, there are a number of patients suffering from symptoms caused by the addiction to electronic devices and video games. On the other hand, a number of youth, including children, spend too much of their time playing video games, which affects their productivity and causes a number of problems in the future. The Minister of Social Development signed an agreement with the Oman Liquefied Natural Gas Company to purchase hearing aids for the Omani Association for Hearing Impaired. The agreement will work on providing hearing aids for more than 500 people with such disabilities in the Sultanate. The agreement will also cover those who have been on the waiting list of schools, universities and colleges students, including the elderly. And now let's have a look at the general weather focused around the Sultanate. Clear skies will prevail over the most of the governorate, with chances of low clouds and fog late at night and early morning over some governorates. The northern parts of the Sultanate will have clear to partly cloudy skies, with chances of scattered rainfalls over the governorates of Musandam and the coast overlooking Sea of Oman. Winds will be north to northwesterly light to moderate. Seas will be slight with a maximum wave height of 1.5 meters. This is the Sultanate of Oman television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. The Sultanate and the United Kingdom affirm on the commitment towards enhancing aspects of historical relations. 99% of the Sultanate's population is provided with water and waste management services. And China's new coronavirus cases dropped, but the world is still on alert. And with that, we do conclude this news bulletin, brought to you live from this news center of the Sultanate of Oman television. Thank you for joining us, and good night.